Hello and welcome to UPG TV. I just got first place at the Belgium National, so a lot of people asked me what I played. I played pure Draco without an extra deck because I thought for the event it was the best choice, because playing Zodiac I had trouble going second, so I don't want to play a deck that has a disadvantage while going second this format, because every deck makes a huge turn 1, but when you go second with this deck you can just set a trap, need one of those, or need an additional continuous card in him, and then you're good to go regardless what they have on the board, because you gain too much advantage. If they chain that trident, you can activate your cards out of your deck. So I thought this was quite good. I choose to play 5 of the little guys because I didn't want too many monsters with the mice. The most people think the fire guy is pretty bad, but when you read this spell card again, you'll maybe rethink your decision, because it also counts for your opponent. And when you play mermail or a zoo or dino variant that plays the True King or True Draco cards as well, you can summon him first and do your plays, and when they goes to shear something, you get a spell out of your deck, and almost every game I drew 3 cards with it, and that catched my opponents off guard, and I went from there. So he was pretty strong. For the spells, I think a pretty standard lineup. I wanted to play the quick spells, Chalice, Stormforth and Cosmic Cyclone, because they're good on its own, but you can do a really cool trick when you activate Diagram, and for example they chain Trident, you chain Chalice to Trident, and then Chalice negates Trident, and in the resolve the Chalice is still face up on the board, so you can destroy the Chalice with Diagram and get an additional card from deck. That helps me a lot. I didn't want to draw any traps besides them going second, because they're like board wipes going second and they're good going first either. So I have decided to play no real traps, because they didn't help you to get over the VFD or the typical Zodiac starting board. So this was perfectly fine. Sometimes I missed Solomon Scolding, but I was fine without it because I went second a lot. And for the side deck I choose 3 anti-spells because I wasn't sure how good metalfoe will be, and I had space in the side deck left, so I decided, okay, if metalfoe turns out to be a problem, I just have an instant win card. Of course I played a Zeus as well, but when you have a masterpiece on board and or a little guy on board and a trap and a masterpiece or any other in hand, you can interrupt all zoo plays, and then they have to use their scales, but with anti-spell they can't. And it's never that in your deck, because if you have no use for it, you just tribute it. So I thought this was the best continuous trap besides Imperial Order, but I didn't want to make Order either, because going second, it doesn't help you. So I just sided when I assumed I had to go first. After siding I always went second. So the third Cosmic Cyclone was just to out enemies, Imperial Orders or some people cited Mask of Restrict, but I don't think Mask of Restrict is a problem, because you have 6 additional spell traps out with the field spells, so I didn't care as much. I cited 1 Maiden for going first as well, because for going first, Maiden is better than the Igniseed, so I swapped them out. And when you don't need your extra deck and you have triple terraforming in deck, you can cite Domain for instant win. I cited also 3 Ghost Dash to negate the good draw cards for my opponent. Sadly, I had to give back 2 already. And the additional hand traps were to Retaliating Sea and Maxi, because almost every deck runs Fusion Substitute, and you just win from dropping it. And game 2, they're still greedy and play their Fusion Substitutes. They don't want to side it out and play it safe, so you mainly win when you draw Retaliating Sea. And you can also tribute Retaliating Sea with the trap during their turn, then get your monster over it, trigger your traps, because then they go to the graveyard, and you have still Maxi in hand, so it's almost unbeatable for them. And what turned out to be really good was discard, because it says when it's destroyed by a monster effect or by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster card your opponent controls and take control over it, and when it's sent to the graveyard, send it to the grave as well. So you can basically out almost any Zodiac board with it, because they're putting Emerald in attack mode because they're used to it for their mirror matches, so they're just doing it, and you can crash into Emerald. If they Trident it, you take their Trident because it has normally more than 1 extra material, and if they don't, you take Trident the damage step, they can't respond, and then you pop their Emerald, so you're getting around it every time. And for the mirror match, that's also really helpful, because you have to tribute Masterpiece with Monster and Trap, because otherwise your opponent will pop the Masterpiece with his Masterpiece or with his Trap. So for the most time, Masterpiece is not unaffected by spells in the mirror match. That's why I kept Raigeki in the main. And he is a monster card, but Masterpiece is unaffected, so he still equips to Masterpiece, and then he is a spell. He's treated as a spell card, so he'll still take the control of it. So that's really useful, and that surprises a lot of people. Some other cool things that you can do is with discard, because it targets 3 in the graveyard, to shuffle it back and draw a card, but just 1 card has to go back to let you draw. So you can chain the trap, summon 1 from grave, then chain Masterpiece, destroy a card from grave, so you shuffle just 1 back to draw a card, so you can gain way more advantage with less resources. So that was basically the deck. I also want to thank all people that made it happen for me to play this deck, because I had not that much time to get every card. And also shoutouts to all my opponents. It was really a fun experience playing them, and it was a really nice tournament. No one was bitching or sharking, everybody was just playing and of course taking it serious, but it was still fun and friendly. And what really surprises me, that even the set was out for 2 days, all my opponent had their ashes, had their diagrams, had their masterpieces. So I thought, of course, the players they were playing around for years, they have their stuff ready, but I faced only 2 players, I think, that had no cards out of the new set, and or just 1, because the mermail guy was playing just Leica, but I think you don't need more than Leica and mermails, so I think he was still fine.